Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Do the Vikings run it back with Jones and Mason?
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Let he who is without misbehavior at a casino noodle bar cast the first stone.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with Wide Left Football. It's cold out there, man. Watch out for ice.
What's happening, Luke Inman at Luke_Spimman? I see Jalen Nailers enjoying the start of what could be a very prosperous offseason.
Reggie Wilson, they finally let me on with the degenerates. Let's ride.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's up? Welcome in Thursday edition Viking Squad Show, streaming on Locked On Vikings. Audio free and available on demand wherever you get your podcasts. It's all part of the #1 sports podcast network. It's the Locked On Podcast Network. Glad you're with us today. 5-man operation. Glad to have Reggie Wilson with us, the special guest. And of course, you met the Lukes, you met Arif, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. We have plenty to get to today. The KOC Kwesi presser took place finally after much delay. We'll talk about what we learned from that. We've got a Jordan Addison arrest to address, and the running back room. Do the Vikings run it back with Jones, Mason, and what do they look like moving forward? All of that, plenty more coming up on today's Squad Show. Really glad you're with us. Glad to have Reggie, and I'm expecting gloves off today, Reggie. I'm expecting just, calling for heads to roll, bringing it.
Hell
absolutely. Yeah. Now we can't swear on the show. I know that you got a real blue streak when it comes to this. We gotta rein it in. We gotta rein it in. Clean, keep it clean.
A restrained head roll call. Yeah.
Restrain yourself. Let's start with KOC Kwesi. Now, I frankly, I was a little bit disappointed that it was so focused on the quarterback, because the instant that they didn't give JJ McCarthy the endorsement, all right, I've got my answer. Like, you're committed, you're going to add to the room, you're going to make it deeper. Great. Everything else to me from that point on wasn't really that fulfilling or that informative. So we didn't get, was not a lot else. It was a lot about the quarterback, a little bit about Brian Flores. I don't know if there were any significant takeaways beyond those two topics, but I would love to hear what you guys took from the subtext of the quarterback discussion with KOC and Kwesi. A lot of people to choose from today, but I'm going to swing it to Arif Hasan to kick us off.
Yeah, I don't really watch pressers.
Just you're a headline guy.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. No, I mean, I think that, like you said, there wasn't much to glean from, the quarterback stuff, because, they said that they wanted a competitive quarterback room. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're willing to commit to splitting reps for somebody, in the spring and then going into training camp, whether they're willing to take that sacrifice. But it sounds like, they're not sold, right? Which is the appropriate response, I think, to the season that we saw. But I just don't know if they're going to do anything about the fact that they're not sold in any meaningful way, right? Because, I don't know, this is a team that traded for Sam Howell, right? Like, how competitive was that backup situation? Sure. If they had been a little bit more specific about the type of player that they wanted to acquire, I think that would have been interesting. It also would have been very uncharacteristic, so I wouldn't have expected it.
I also want to make a note that we are brought to you today by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Fit that in. Reggie, what'd you take away from KOC, Kwesi, and maybe we tried to get, they tried to get Kwesi baited into some admissions of regret. I don't know if he took that bait, trying to see if there was any ruefulness about the way they approached last season.
So the one thing that I took away, just first and foremost, KO's presser, 27 minutes. Kwesi's presser, 18 minutes. A lot of words in that first one, okay? It was a lot of
Yeah,
words.
they asked him to defend JJ.
Yeah.
27 minutes, 3 questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
A
know,
lot of,
KO
from
can
that
go.
aspect
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah, you give KO a question and he'll go for minutes on end. So I thought that was him staying true to himself, which I appreciated at the very end. But so the whole headline of not committing to JJ, it was a weird thing because he's been so almost giddy at times talking about being able to work with him and develop him and all that. What I thought was interesting, he has not let this thing with his baby go. He continues to bring up.
He hates Rome McCarthy. Can't stand him.
He continues to bring up the baby in week 2, and he's like, yeah, then that led to the high ankle. And then that led to
I think he directly implied that the lack of practice one day led to a high ankle sprain that cost him 6 weeks.
Suddenly it's become now it's the whole week he didn't practice. I don't think he'd said that before, had he? It was like a day. Now it's the whole week.
Yep, missed the whole week of practice. Even though, back then I remember being there, it was like, oh yeah, he came back on Friday. He was fired up. He was ready to go. And then, he goes out there against the Falcons and just looks horrible. And then all you hear is, it just kept coming back to that. And at the very end, he still came back to it. Like, hey, man, that week 2, that really messed us up, man. It led to that high ankle sprain.
Wait, does he think McCarthy has postpartum depression? Does he think that's how that works?
Does McCarthy? Do we know he doesn't?
We don't know. We don't know. That's a very real thing for dads as well. But I think the tough part about that whole thing is, he made mention of the week 2 thing, but I think where he was going was when he did get the high ankle sprain, then that led to less time on task, not allowing the cement to dry, as he kept saying, and kind of put JJ behind the 8 ball a little bit. Yeah. And put JJ behind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He really likes it when he uses that phrase. It's
we gotta talk about it.
let it dry, bro. It didn't dry. But I did think it was interesting too, because shout out to Judd. I know it's a different podcast network, but I thought he asked some really pointed questions that really, was trying to nail
Judd was
down.
Violent.
He pushed hard.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. Yeah, I appreciated it, but KO never takes the bait. Never. But I thought that, it was interesting, him talking about, standing up here at this podium, not talking about the mechanics and the fundamentals and all that stuff. I cut that out, but behind the scenes, I still want him to play quarterback how I want him to play quarterback. And so he was getting it, but in the offseason, he knows what he has to do. And, and then when they were talking about, okay, you're going to bring in a quarterback competition, because last year was pretty bizarre. Like, we doing shows every week, Sam, and we're like, okay, they're going to address this quarterback situation soon, right? And it was like, okay, after the draft, let's do that. Okay, cool. And then after the draft, they trade for Sam Howell. It's like, okay. And then he looks awful, like through training camp, through the preseason games. This is like, whoa. And these rookie JJ, Sam Howell backing him up, rookie Max Brosmer, that's what we're going with to start the season. And it was like, yeah, no, we can't do that. And you bring Carson Wentz, and Kwesi's like, yeah, we appreciated Carson Wentz, but we may not necessarily be going there. But I thought, last thing, and I'll wrap it up, but I thought with Kwesi being asked about Indiana Jones, and there seemed to be a little regret there, just saying like, yeah, I wish we would have been a little bit more competitive there, and really tried to push it there. I think they wanted him back, but he was offered an opportunity, seeing what happened to Anthony Richardson.
Genuinely, for that.
But I think that was genuine regret.
Be less committed to McCarthy,
yeah,
right. And I think that was genuine regret that they maybe didn't do more to add more competition last year. But hindsight is always 20/20, right?
Yeah.
There was an obsession with the comp formula. That became the whole thing. Oh, we got to get a quarterback who doesn't affect the comp pick formula. And that ended up being a Sam Howell who had 1 year of bad NFL experience. I felt like it was pretty frontal, Luke Inman should clarify of KOC to say, yeah, we invite competition. We are going to have competition. Didn't really hide it. Felt like it was pretty clear that we are headed for that this coming year.
And why would you hide it? Like, I think if you're the Vikings, you're only doing yourself a disservice by not trying to advertise to every and any available quarterback out there this offseason that they want a guy, they need a guy to come in and have a what sounds like a fair competition. Again, to Arif's point, what degree of competition, we don't know what that's going to look like, but a competition to go win that starting job. Last year, they got burned by letting Sam Darnold go and essentially saying that, without saying it, that we're rolling with McCarthy and we're putting all our eggs in that basket. It's his time to shine, so on and so forth. But this year, already reading kind of between the lines after just one press conference here, they clearly don't want to put all their eggs in that same basket, make that same mistake again. And they want it to be known that, they're after more talent, more depth, and kind of in search of someone that can come in and have a real chance at winning the quarterback battle come training camp.
Mm-hmm. Ron?
Yeah, I'm with Reggie. It was a lot of excuse making, especially from O'Connell. I think there were a lot of pointed questions from Judd, but not only Judd, about, hey, this went wrong. What do you have to say about that? Are you satisfied with this performance or that performance? And he really launched into a lot of reasons why they just kind of got unlucky. And it felt to me like O'Connell's outlook on this season is we don't have to make all that much change. We're going to be fine. And it's just that this and that went wrong, but it won't go wrong next year. We're going to be all right. And Kwesi's was a little more regretful. He was a little more willing to say, yeah, no, that was probably a miss. I probably should have done this or that. And he seemed pretty comfortable with, for example, saying, yeah, we probably should have told Daniel Jones a little bit more of what he wanted to hear, so that maybe he would have stuck around and we would have had a more reasonable backup plan. But ultimately, they were so committed to McCarthy in the whole offseason that if McCarthy crashed and burned, the Vikings were going to crash and burn. That's exactly what happened. And I don't know. O'Connell can bluster for 20 minutes if he wants to. It's not going to make that untrue.
Yeah, Kwesi did defend his process, though. I thought that was an interesting takeaway. He said, I understand the pushback, but going back to the time, I understand why we did what we did. I liked the process of how we did it. I still keep coming back to the backup situation. That was your goal. That was your process to let them all walk and then find literally the cheapest option for the least cost, like draft pick wise and money wise, and a Band-Aid solution for 1 year for a guy that had no proven track record. That seems like a really bad process. If you're defending that process, if that's what you're referring to, weird process. There was also talk about Brian Flores I want to get to. And news, even since the pressers, interviews with the Commanders for a DC job and the Steelers. Mike Tomlin steps down. And the Steelers, they are, it doesn't seem like, wanting to pivot to, say, a young offensive-minded coach, try to get that offense figured out, groom a young quarterback. They're interviewing 4 out of 5 DCs right now. I think the only offensive guy is the Rams passing game coordinator. Someone's passing game coordinator. So Brian Flores in the Steelers mix. The Commanders thing, that to me feels like a leverage play. If he's going to come back to Minnesota, he wants some leverage. He wants to maybe even have an offer in hand from Washington and jack his price up here. The Steelers one would concern me because of his time in the building, obviously demonstrating they're not concerned with the lawsuit. That would be a very possible destination for Brian Flores. And I think we always thought it might be Luke Inman, that if he's going to go somewhere, the Steelers would be an option.
Yes, Steelers for sure. I know Baltimore, obviously, he's got an interview with that. I still think, and I checked it yesterday morning, still the odds-on favorite for the Raiders job. Granted, that's at like plus 450 now, but definitely makes a lot of sense when you start to connect a lot of those dots. Again, talked about the background and kind of the pedigree to fill those Mike Tomlin shoes. Brian Flores is the hot name out there right now. And I think going back to what KOC said at the presser, that he fully encourages him to kind of go through these motions, but it still felt like, reading between the lines, that he sounds very confident that they're still going to get a deal done. You mentioned the kind of leverage play with a couple of these potential interviews. I don't see a lateral movement to a DC job. We talked about that last week as well, but there's going to be some tempting openings here, I feel like, if you're Brian Flores. And yeah, at this point, it's kind of a wait and see approach, but it still feels like of the names outside of, again, Harbaugh, that domino fell, and we talked about that last week as well. Let's see where the Harbaugh domino falls first. But outside of Harbaugh, it feels like Brian Flores is the hot, sexy name right now. And Pittsburgh, to your point, Sam, makes a lot of sense when you start to connect those dots.
Braun, Steelers have you panicking 1 through 10?
Extreme concern. Yeah, 8 or 9. Yep, it's a perfect fit. It makes a
so
gallon of sense.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, the Commanders DC thing is interesting. I definitely get the leverage angle on that. The other explanation is they didn't get a deal done, and he's going to start taking more DC interviews. So if you see that in the headlines, then that's probably the direction. But I'm with you, Sam. It seems more like a leverage play. And again, in the pressers, both O'Connell and Kwesi were like adamantly confident that that Brian Flores would only leave Minnesota for a head coaching gig. But this makes a lot of sense. And there's something about the Steelers that makes it make sense. And you kind of alluded to it. The Steelers are one of the only teams in the league that don't fire a head coach and then seek out his opposite. Everybody else is, we're firing the gruff, hard-nosed defensive Mike Zimmer, and we got to go get a Beach Vibes offensive mastermind. And they just oscillate between those two things over and over and over again. And the Steelers are like, no, we want somebody that we're going to commit to for 15 years. And in 15 years, our problems might be completely different. So we want to get a guy that we know that we can commit to. And I think there's a reason Flores is on their short list for that. They are kind of the homecoming king of the owners group, the Rooneys are, and can do whatever they want without worrying too much about, making somebody angry about the lawsuit. and
the Rooneys have to be the least concerned out of any NFL
yeah, right.
team.
Like you're prom king. You can bully anyone you want. And he had like the Blitzberg coming back thing is such a great angle. They know him, they've worked with him before, and they know that he fits in their culture and their organization. It's just like, man, that's perfect.
Another
please,
Vikings
Chris
DC.
Shula.
Vikings DC goes to Pittsburgh. And did Tomlin win the Super Bowl in year 1 after he left?
Year
two. And he got one ring or 2? I thought it was 2.
Just one.
Just
the one.
That was Cowher. Cowher had
got the
Cowher,
2005
and then Tomlin did show up in another Super Bowl.
Lost to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Reg, I'm trying still to wrap my head around what held up a contract extension with Flores before all of this bluster started, right? Like, because if he's got a year left on his deal, knowing he could still pursue head coaching opportunities, not restricted from that, I wonder what the impediment was to get a deal done. Was it just strictly the dollar amount, or was there more at play here? Because you don't often see coaches betting on themselves, looking to be free agents. It's not they're not players, right? So that to me is still a little murky as to why this couldn't have been resolved and given him the cursory 2-year extension prior to this season. That's a little weird to me.
Yeah, it is, but it isn't. If you think about it, just he coordinated another stellar defense this year, and you think about it, what does Fat Joe say? Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah.
And so, he loves Minnesota. He said that so many times. But, a little extra cash might help you love a place a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that kind of makes sense to me. It's like, okay, yeah, like I'm just going to let this play out. If it's a clean break, it's a clean break, and I go, to another opportunity. Funny enough, when the Vikings got Brian Flores, I was just like, this is perfect because, like, you don't have to worry necessarily about him going anywhere, because like I feel like all these owners were like just like, excuse me, like with his lawsuit.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, is he going to get blackballed or whatever?
Yeah, and the two most like self-assured owners in the league were like, yeah, we'll interview him. Don't worry about it.
Then the only thing you thought was like Pittsburgh, but he's like, oh no, Tomlin's been there forever. He's not going anywhere. He's got all those non-losing seasons. Like it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Of course, he gets a chance to land there before coming to Minnesota, just to keep his coaching career going. It's fine. It's fine. He'll be in Minnesota for the long haul. Pay him whatever, because he's wrecking all opposing offenses, and it's just great. And then all of a sudden the Steelers job comes open, and I'm with Luke Braun. I'm like, bro, this makes a lot of sense. Like he just sees this coach who's been there for 19 years, and he's just like, oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. You have the origin of the Rooney Rule. The Rooneys are the owners there. So like, obviously they are favorable to minority candidates like that. Adam Schefter kept pointing out, like, they had a chance to hire Russ Grimm as their head coach back in the day, and they chose to hire Mike Tomlin, and it was like a huge deal. And, I can't remember, back then, because I think I was, never mind, I won't date myself. But I can't remember like all the, but he made it seem like it was just so like controversial and so on the cutting edge that Pittsburgh did what they did to hire him. And, he went down, Brian Flores went down to Miami, and it was QB purgatory, and that kind of messed him up. And he has admitted his own fault in, how he handled Tua and all that stuff. But like, I hope that he has learned during his time in Minnesota and just away from the head coaching spotlight, okay, I have to actually develop this, because then now you're looking at Tomlin 2.0, where he's just like you're churning and burning with these veteran quarterbacks or with these stopgap quarterbacks. Like, that's an attractive job. But where I think I'm a little confused, Kevin O'Connell said that they have been very aggressive. Very aggressive. This Commanders thing, what is that?
Yeah. The speculation that I have that I think would explain everything is that they have some kind of handshake in place, and we just pray that Brian Flores does not alter the deal. But if they have some kind of handshake in place, but they're not going to put pen to paper and start committing money and putting it out in escrow if he's just going to leave for a head coaching job. So as soon as the head coaching cycle ends, if Brian Flores hasn't left, they'll get pen to paper and officialize that thing. But they've made some kind of deal, which is why everybody would be so confident. No, he'd be a DC if he's here as a DC, but it's just messy with the money. So they're going to do it a different way. And because they have absolutely no idea how to handle PR in the media, they just make everything way more confusing than it needs to be with what they tell us or don't.
Yeah, and we got a break. But if it was truly Flores just betting on himself this year, what a bold bet coming off of the year they had last year, knowing how fast things can deteriorate and almost did deteriorate this year through 12 games. I mean, I don't think he's this sought after. But the final,
they had like the 8th best defense or something like that. It wouldn't have been nearly as appealing a candidate.
Yeah.
And then they took it to the Seahawks.
It ended really
I think it was Christmas
well
is what
him.
did it. Christmas was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And everybody saw it.
Let's step away and then come back with the unsavory details of the Jordan Addison arrest and the implications coming up next. Brought to you today by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, communicating in one place, kind of like this group here, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. It's so great how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number. Nothing gets missed. Totally consolidated. Everyone sees the thread, makes replies faster and more personal. No surprise, Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity, no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL, QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We are, in addition, brought to you by the ultimate QB football legend. Draft pick positions are set. Everyone's looking for their franchise QB. If you've ever dreamed of being a pro QB, getting drafted first overall by the Raiders like Mendoza is going to be, well, now you can with the mobile game Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step in the cleats of the #1 draft pick quarterback, and you lead the team to greatness. You sign contracts, you train, you upgrade, you build chemistry with your teammates. It's the whole shebang, the whole experience. You deal with the ups and downs of a QB career. I don't know. In the game, do you hurt your ankle in week 2 after having a baby? That'd be super realistic because I don't know. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, works 100% offline. So head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com. Search for Ultimate QB in your app store, and they've got something special for you. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store. Get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB Football Legend, QB1. It's your legacy.
Is the finger point in the ad read?
Yeah.
I don't reveal. I don't read the stage instructions.
Well, Luke just did, so.
Yeah, it is.
You know, little personal
Love it.
touch.
I love the stage directions in the ad read. More of those, please.
Jordan Addison arrested for a 3rd time at the Noodle Bar, which, I mean,
You make it sound like he's been arrested multiple times at the Noodle Bar specifically.
Phrasing, Sam. Phrasing. The details as follows. He was asked multiple times to leave. He struggled to get to the front door, then was subsequently arrested. Drew Davenport on Twitter. I don't know anything about Drew Davenport except he had a pretty good and seemingly informed write-up about this and what it all means and what the implications could be. So I'm going to recommend the Drew Davenport thread on this. This is going to be, this sounds like legally, this is probably a plea deal, a slap on the wrist. I don't think there's going to be a gigantic punishment for this. I think the bigger concern would be what the league sanctions off of this. And Drew Davenport points out that there is more than likely an alcohol component involved here. Not
you
guaranteed.
To be redirected multiple times by casino staff, so that sounds correct.
Yeah.
In fairness, it's so hard to get out of those places.
Yeah, well, okay, but like security is with him.
It's designed to keep you in.
Yeah. Look,
Inman,
I've been wasted on the casino floor at 3:45 a.m. too. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, after you've lost
a
couple of G's on blackjack, you're stumbling out of there. Yeah. So what
Oh, what's this?
There are patches
table.
of my
What is
bachelor
this?
party that I couldn't tell you about.
So
Didn't end up
maybe
arrested,
that's
though,
part of the
so.
defense. His lawyers have already been, voicing on Twitter they think he'll be exonerated. But Arif, what would be so your concern acutely about this particular incident and what it could mean, and then the big picture. You've got this 5th-year option that you got to pick up in the next few months. What becomes now of the Jordan Addison future prospects?
Yeah, first of all, I was really surprised that Kwesi kind of really directly referenced the future prospects, but I'll get to that in a second. My first thought was, hey, I don't think he's actually ever done this during the season, so maybe he locks in, which is not the right response. But
unless he's in London,
Yeah.
But when he's
Right.
on U.S. soil in the season,
no, that's true. But he didn't
dialed
get
in.
arrested in London. He just was late for practice for no reason. But yeah, the specific one, it's not that concerning in isolation, right? Like he didn't escalate to violence. He was drunk in a casino when he wasn't obligated to work. Like, oh no, like I'm gonna care about that. But, obviously, he was trespassed. He was given, according to the casino, multiple notices. It sounds like that might be the locus of the dispute with the attorneys, because otherwise I don't really see. I don't know how much I would, because you're required to give notice to trespass someone before they can be arrested. I don't see how you go up against a casino in these scenarios and come out ahead. They will turn over that security footage, which they have ample evidence of, over to the authorities that are going to make the arrest. So that's a tough one generally to win. So I'm really curious about the lawyer's confidence there. But I think it's probably about the notice element of trespassing. Either way, in isolation, this is not a huge deal to me unless there are more details emerging about how he acted that led to him getting trespassed, right? Obviously, globally, this is a huge problem. You don't want to speculate about someone's mental health or internal life, but it would not shock me if maybe he has a drinking problem that needs to be addressed, right? Falling asleep in a car, right, on the highway, that is pretty alarming, right? So that's kind of the concern for him. And then the concern as it relates to the team, of course, is availability, reliability, and it's never this isn't the worst case scenario. You're always worried about what these incidents chained together could imply about what the worst case scenario could be, right? And I don't really want to bring, but the worst case scenario was a Henry Ruggs incident, right? That is genuinely concerning. And from a team standpoint, right? If your primary kind of concern in your job is to try and figure out what the best path forward for your team is, you have to chart out all of these possibilities, think about what the likelihood is. With Addison, it seems to occur every offseason, including the one before he was even a Viking, right? Just between his draft and training camp, where I guess he had a sick dog or something, right? That was the argument. If it's happening essentially every offseason and also kind of in the UK, then there's probably going to be an incident where his availability is going to be seriously implicated, and it's just really difficult to trust that and build plans around that. And so that's why Kwesi was like, hey, this is probably going to come up during contract negotiations, which is just, I think, a really, I'm not going to say wild because it is true, but you don't often hear that, right? You don't often hear them directly say, hey man, if this guy keeps getting arrested, it's going to be tough to offer him a contract. And it's that, okay, that's true, but it's real bad if someone has just gone out there and explicitly said that, especially Kwesi, who has learned his lesson about being too open with the media and clammed up after he made the Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady comment, right? And then since then, he's been kind of much quieter. And so for him to go out and say that, I think really meaningful.
I think you're spot on. I think they still are obligated to pick up that fifth-year option because you want to have the trade asset.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to have him in your organization on the list, going into that fifth year. Braun, thoughts on just the global picture here?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they didn't pick up the fifth-year option because they're that annoyed about this one. First and foremost, this is very funny. That is my strongest opinion is this is hilarious. This is straight out of an episode of Always Sunny. Just getting belligerently drunk at the noodle bar in a Hard Rock hotel. Not even the one in Miami, the one in Tampa. This is hilarious. When in
Hard
Florida,
Rock,
do as Floridians do.
It'll get you.
It's just it's when in Rome, when in Florida. It's amazingly funny. But yes, it is obviously going to give you that much more pause when you talk about a long-term contract. What if there is a Henry Ruggs-esque incident? Another DUI even would lead to a greater suspension because it's his second one. So there is a real availability concern, and that's all part of that.
The next one. Eight
yeah,
games.
And so there's a real concern about that. My approach to these things, though, is as a problem solver. What's the solution to the problem? Is it to trade him away for pennies on the dollar and make your receiving room worse, or is it to try to get the guy some help for his drinking problem? I feel like as humans, there's maybe smarter ways, more compassionate, I guess, ways to go about that. But with this incident in particular, I kind of just want to riff on it, man. It's really funny.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. In a vacuum, pretty small potato. More concerning that, again, you just can't stay out of the spotlight. More concerning that Goodell's got this dude on speed dial now at this point. But from the GM perspective here, trying to put myself in some GM shoes, I think I'd have the kind of concept, if you can't behave yourself going into a contract type of year, when can I really kind of feel good about you behaving yourself after I pay you a big juicy contract with, all the guaranteed money? And you kind of laid it all the resume out, driving 140, fell asleep in the Rolls Royce that was in LA, I think, getting suspended 3 games for that, getting benched the first half overseas in the Cleveland game for the coach's decision. And now this, I'm sure there's 100%. There's conversations at least happening, extending or re-signing somebody like Jalen Nailor, who's been, granted, obviously a lower ceiling guy, but still super solid, super consistent on and off the field. And also, too, by the way, one of their few kind of draft hits as well that you picked, you develop, you typically try to keep those guys around. But, that's a conversation I'm sure is happening behind the scenes. But I agree with both of you guys. This is of the grand scheme of everything that's kind of played out since he's been in the NFL, probably the smallest one or the one I'm least concerned about, but definitely conversations that need to be had, not only about the 5th-year option, which I do think, and I agree with you guys, I do think they picked that 5th-year option up, but what it looks like maybe beyond that 5th-year option more than anything.
I want to add one thing real quick, too, that a lot of NFL teams have committed a lot more resources to people with worse rap sheets. And it kind of happens a lot. And it has happened on the Minnesota Vikings. And the reaction to some of those things was honestly quieter than what I'm even seeing in the chat right now. So think about that.
Reg, let me throw the George Pickens question at you. Pickens, 3 years.
I was just about to bring him up.
Three years in Pittsburgh. Yep, same amount of time. Probably a little more productive, but got a 3rd and a 6th in return for what? And Dallas got him for 1 year. I don't know. Did they extend Pickens? Does anyone know off the top of their head? Basically a 1 year rental. 1 year rental, because I think he's a free agent now. 3rd and a 6th. Is that a deal that would intrigue you?
No, because I feel like if you watch the Steelers, especially on Monday night, it was like DK Metcalf and
Thielen, our guy.
Yeah.
Ben Skowronek.
Yeah, exactly. Freiermuth or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think
they wait for 3 tight ends a ton.
Yeah, that was the tough part. When they got DK, I was like, oh, okay, DK and George, okay. And then they trade George away. It's
that was going to be a mean wide receiver room for a half a second.
Yeah. And so when I think about it with Addison, he had a bit of a down year. That being said, Justin Jefferson had a bit of a down year. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on at the quarterback position that we mentioned, obviously. But I think you don't give up on a guy that you drafted in the 1st round. You try to get him as much help as possible. Here's the thing, it's so tough. He can't seem to help himself. The body ain't even cold on the season yet. The season just ended, and he is already getting into some issues. And so I think it's a trend. He hasn't had a clean offseason since he was drafted. And so I think that's the tough part about the situation. But I don't think you give up, because I just don't think the value is going to be there 3rd and 6th. Who's to know? And Kwesi will be the first guy to probably tell you, these picks, you just never know if you're going to hit on them or not. You don't know. And so you got a sure thing. And I don't think you trade him away. People are already giving Kwesi a lot of grief for his draft picks since he's been the Vikings GM. And then the one guy that you have pretty much hit on, and then you give him away, not really looking too good for you, bro. That's a problem. So I think you just try to help him as best you can. You could tell there's a lot of love for him in the building, but as my boy Spinman said, Jalen Nailor, he's like,
Somebody in the chat brought up an idea, swap for George Pickens straight up. What, Jerry Jones going to get a contract extension done? We know how that goes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that could drag on forever. Might as well just.
Well, he's a free agent.
Yeah, no.
So you
get those
can
tampering
get
gloves
him.
on, man. Let's make some calls. Trade Addison away, bring Pickens in. That's a duo. Let's go.
You could, in conjunction with a Naylor contract, you could make that deal and clear up some cap space in the process. Vikings got to get creative. We'll talk about the running back room as well, and another cap decision they have to make around Aaron Jones next. Brought to you today by our wonderful new partners at Home Chef. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines. I know for sure around here, having to think about dinner every single day for 2 adults, 2 kids can be a little bit stressful. Busy work days. It's night at 4:30 p.m. It's a little depressing. So then you got to think about food. Well, Home Chef can simplify this, takes the stress out, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door, easy to follow recipes that can be completed in about half an hour, oven-ready trays, quick lunches available as well. Over 30 weekly options, family-sized meals, and different dietary choices. Recipes are simple, but they feel elevated, maybe even restaurant quality, you might say. Dishes co-created by chefs like Gordon Ramsay. So save time, save money. With Home Chef, customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Yeah, sign me up. Go to homechef.com/lockedon. Homechef.com/lockedon. Seriously, free dessert? Sweet Tooth loving it. 50% off your first box, free shipping, free dessert for life. No lie. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. That read made me hungry. Back on the Squad Show. Make sure you check out Luke Braun. 30-minute daily dose of Locked On Vikings. So we got a running back tandem, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, heading into the final years of deals. Where will the Vikings stand at this position group? Here's the decision on Jones. Pay him 14.8 against the cap, or cut him and save 8. Jordan Mason or extend him. Yes, that is an option.
There's a secret fourth option. The pay cut move. Hey, we're going to release you unless you take this altered deal.
You really
I like that option
phrasing today, huh?
Of altering deals? Yeah.
I like that avenue. I like having them both in the building. I don't like paying Aaron Jones 14.8 against the cap. I don't like that. Not as efficient as you need him to be, or really the last 2 years, and not available enough. I really like Jordan Mason. You could roll with Mason, Xavier Scott, a rookie. I think I could roll with that. I would like Aaron Jones, though, in the building. I think having the 1-2 punch was nice. In your mind, Reggie, did it come to fruition the way it was supposed to? Probably tough to say it did because the offense was so poor. But the running game had its best success rate in the KOC era.
Yeah, and they both provided something different. But the tough part about it was the injuries with Jones. Like, they signed him. It's the weirdest thing, I feel like, with the Vikings and these injuries. Like, they get guys who have been, like, oft injured, and then they come to the Vikings, and all of a sudden they're playing, if not all, just about all games of a season. And then if they keep the person, it seems like after that, that's when things kind of, just kind of fall off a little bit. We did continue to see some production. I was looking at Aaron Jones' stats, like, he's still, even with the lack of maybe opportunities, if you will, you're still looking at 4.6. There's a game 8.7, 4.4, 4.6, 5.4 yards of play. Like, he was still productive, and when he got into the game and he had some good runs, like, he still looked like he had some juice. The one thing I feel like the Vikings have lacked under KOC, though, is like that home run hitter. Like, when they first started to employ Ty Chandler, it was like, whoa, like, that dude's got some juice. And then it just kind of fell off. And then he misses pretty much all of this season. and you're like, oh, okay, I don't know if there's anything we're going to do with him. When KO got here, he had Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook was a home run hitter, but after so many injuries and so much that had piled up with Dalvin, like he wasn't the same guy, and they had to kind of move forward. I think that's something that is kind of missing from the offense. I think they had the right idea, the thundering lightning, if you will, of Jones and Mason, but it didn't come to fruition because you had all the offensive line struggles and the attrition there, and then the injuries with Jones. You had some injuries with Mason as well, and it just didn't come together how I think they wanted to. Because I was looking forward to seeing, like, KOC is a guy who really loves to pass, okay? Really loves to push the ball down the field. And after what we saw happen last offseason, I was like, oh, okay, are we seeing a different, is he about to get in his McVay bag a little bit and become this, like, run-heavy guy? Like, I want to see it, and it just didn't really happen.
Yeah. Inman, I'm curious your thoughts on this. I was a really big fan of the plan, and even if you can say the plan worked from like a success rate standpoint, EPA standpoint, whatever you want to say, it's kind of proof that even with a good running game, if you don't have a passing game to supplement it, it does not help you. You still need to have a passing game in addition to that run game.
Yeah, no doubt. You referenced Kwesi earlier, kind of justifying some moves, saying, oh, it's easy to say in hindsight, but you know what? Going back, re-looking and kind of reevaluating, like, I understand why we did that. You're right. The Sam Howell, the backup quarterback position, that ain't it. That's not the right angle to take. But for this move, the running back combo that they had with this two-headed monster, I think it did make sense. I think we all agree on that, and I think we were all pretty excited and kind of, optimistic, I guess, of what finally having an efficient backfield. Reggie brought up Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was the home run hitter, but the efficiency down to down, -2, 0, 1 yard, 3rd and 1, can't do it. 0 for 4 that game. Like, they needed efficiency, and I think this two-headed monster made a lot more sense as far as efficiency goes. We finally saw it during that winning streak towards the end of the year, how efficient Jordan Mason looked. But you're right, Sam, dude. When you don't have a passing game, when you're down 13 points going into halftime and you got to abandon that running game, it just makes everything else so much difficult to kind of lean on the run and keep defenses honest. So I think we didn't really get a fair shake this year at this running back tandem. As far as the salary cap go, I think we all love Aaron Jones and those 12 touches we're going to get. We love those 13, 14 touches, right? But 14.8, call it 15 mil. There's just no possible way they're bringing him back at that salary cap. They could still bring him back, to Luke's point. Maybe it's a pay cut kind of thing. I would be happy to have those, again, 12 Aaron Jones touches a game back, but there's no way at that price point they can bring him back. Not given the salary cap kind of constraints that they have going into this offseason.
Right. Yeah, I was actually a little surprised, Braun, of how focal Aaron Jones was, especially late in the year when he was banged up. There were some scripts, like some first quarters, where they were just force-feeding Aaron Jones. Pass game, run game. He was the tone setter for the entire offense because they knew that he was a pretty easy outlet for J.J. McCarthy. Were you good with the way the reps were shared this year between those two?
I mean, they didn't get a lot of choice because those two were not often healthy at the same time. But yeah, it seemed fine. I'm more or less satisfied with both of them. I would be worried about Aaron Jones next year. It's just any running back over 30. You can't really guarantee that next year will be like last year. And I think an infusion of youth would be pretty sick, like Reggie was saying. Like, I don't think you need to hold super firm to the names that are in the building just because they're the names in the building. If you still feel like, I know they've got a lot of the speed data, and if you don't feel like the age cliff is hitting, then sure, do the whatever contract nonsense you want to do. I just did on the over the cap calculator just to see what I could do, what would happen if I just added a bunch of void years to Aaron Jones's contract, but didn't actually extend him. You can get his cap number down to like 8 million if you want to just go do that. You can cut it in half. You can move money around however much you want. But at the end of the day, do we still trust him to be the lead back that he was before? Or do we want to go pursue? There's a couple of really interesting free agents slated to hit the market, like Travis Etienne, Rico Dowdle. Some people in the chat are talking about Jeremiah Love. If you want to, spend a first-round pick, go be that team this year. There's a lot of interesting options to try to sculpt that room. I think you got to have a 1-2 punch. This is not the league of bell cows anymore. And whoever that 1-2 punch is, I'm open to a lot of ideas, including but not limited to Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. But don't hold yourself just to the guys who are here just because they're here.
Yeah, I think rookie back certainly in play, Arif. Maybe not first round, maybe not Jeremiah Love. That's the name that everybody loves. Pun is intended. Second round, third round back could work out as well.
Oh yeah, Breece Hall too.
Yeah, I was thinking like Breece Hall is actually someone who's really, if we're talking about like an injured guy who's a home run hitter, you might as well, right?
Yeah. It's so Kwesi.
Yeah. So obviously I'm not a huge first round running back guy. That's not what you're suggesting, but also poking around like the various big boards, which is like a hobby of mine, I suppose. It doesn't seem like there are that many running backs that you would qualify as second round quality, right? There's a couple of third round names. I don't know what kind of back they are, what quality they are yet. I haven't done that particular homework yet, so I can't speak to you about the other Notre Dame running back. I can't speak to you about the Arkansas running back, etc. But given that, you know, a lot of these strong running back classes tend to be characterized by a lot of backs that are projected into the second and obviously sometimes first round. This strikes me as a running back class that doesn't have a lot going for it, which is not to say they should avoid the position entirely in the draft, but that they shouldn't expect any solutions to come through the draft. Like maybe grab a fourth, fifth round guy, you know, especially if the position's not being drafted, and really explore the depths of this particular free agency class, which Luke is correct to say that there's like a couple of younger names out there that are super interesting. I think ETN is probably the most interesting in regards to what we were talking about, right? Making sure that you've got a home run hitter that has a lot of juice, that has the ability to run in multiple styles, multiple schemes. You know, it can succeed as a pass catcher for you, do all the things you expected Aaron Jones to do. But also, in addition to that, of course, you've got like Breece Hall, who before he got hurt the first time was one of the faster backs that we've seen. He's still a very explosive back. I don't know. This is a really good free agency class for running backs. I'm not typically spend big on running backs, you know, in either the draft or free agency, but this is an area where I'd prefer to see, I think, free agency investment.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much a guy like Breece Hall is going to go for coming off the injury and just kind of a down year or two, actually, in that New York kind of putrid offense. But if we're talking about paying,
that sounds like exactly like the Kwesi target,
right? If we're talking about paying Jones 8, maybe 9, maybe 10-ish, I'd be more intrigued in Breece Hall for 12 or 13-ish. It feels like if you're going to go that route. But to both your guys' points, there is more intriguing options. It feels like in this running back free agency class. Then maybe we're more prone to thinking, at least compared to other off seasons that we've had.
I'm also not convinced that Xavier Scott isn't really good. Like I think that's also a path here, that Xavier Scott fills a lot of the same needs. Passing game, I don't know about his blocking. Need to figure that out. But I like him. I like him on the team. I don't need Ty Chandler back. We got Xavier Scott. We're good in that regard. So Adam Thielen retired. I think we may have even done this exercise when he left the Vikings, but what was your favorite Adam Thielen moment? We'll talk about that and make our round 2 playoff bets when we return. Brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page, helps you reach the right candidates faster. So if I needed to hire someone for this show, for instance, I'd go straight to Indeed, super specific about what I need. Someone who is snarky, who can deal with Arif and deal with Braun, and, you know, not just resume buzzwords, very specific requirements. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Go there right now. Support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Viking Squad Show. Terms and conditions apply. All right, favorite Adam Thielen moment. He's retired. It's official. Right or wrong answers only. Here's a wrong answer. I perused the box score the box scores of Adam Thielen's career. This is one I'd totally forgotten, and it's my favorite. Targeted 19 times with 14 catches, 105 yards in the 27-6 loss to Buffalo.
Wow.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
19
man.
times? Wow.
Kind of want to rewatch that
19
game.
times. Yeah. Like see what the narratives were about Josh Allen at the time.
Miscommunications.
Yeah.
What an incredible game.
That was like one of the first Tony Romo games, if I remember.
Back when he
Romo
was
and
good.
Nance.
That was a CBS, for sure.
On
Good
CBS, and he was like so interested in this young struggling rookie. Here's how you make it work for him, and then he was just cooking.
Posterized Anthony Barr, man. Yeah,
Was it-
17 and a half point dogs.
Was it Mackenzie Alexander that blew that first like 30+ yard coverage, and then like Eric Hendricks is
man.
like yelling at him? It was an incredible game.
Great stuff.
Wait a minute, 14 catches for what? A $1.05, $1.06?
$1.05, 19.
Yeah, where was he?
Yeah, well, that is
throwing?
insane.
What kind of ADOT are we looking at there?
What's happening?
Honestly, should have seen that one coming because it was off of the Packers tie where they absolutely emptied the clip, played an extra full quarter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great Adam Thielen moment in that.
Yeah,
one.
that was the one I
Great
was going to
Adam
pick.
Thielen.
Thanks for bringing it up, Sam, for absolutely bogarting my moment there.
Take it away, Arif.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
All right, so my real Adam Thielen, and then I'll choose the wrong answer as well. Is that 2018 game against the Packers that that incredible touchdown sent it to overtime. Obviously, like on the field, watching it was incredible, outstanding catch, really good ball placement. Just right outside, being able to like catch it right in the breadbasket on the outside shoulder to get that touchdown in. And what I really enjoy about that moment, personally for me, was him explaining in great detail in the locker room later what happened, right? Like how he changed the release entirely in response to the levers that he saw, and how he had to trust that Kirk Cousins, who arrived, that year, right? He had to just trust that Kirk Cousins would understand that he was going to get to the spot where his route demanded he be on time, even though he chose a different way to get there. And so like he changes the release because I think it was press coverage or something like that. And it turns into like this switch release that he gets to the outside, and Cousins just trusts it. He throws it. Really outstanding moment. Loved it. Sends it to overtime. You get the really funny tie. And then next year, my wrong answer is when both Diggs and Thielen are yelling at Kirk Cousins, just so angry. This might have been the Chase
That was
Daniel
the
Chicago
same
game.
year. That was the same year.
Oh yeah,
It was the end of the
end of the year,
season.
different Chicago game. Yeah. I don't have 10 seconds.
And Kirk Cousins apologizes to Thielen, but not to Diggs.
Beginning of the end. Beginning
So
of the
good.
end for Diggsy. I think on the note about the Green Bay catch, Thielen made more spectacular catches per capita than a Diggs or even a Jefferson, I would argue. Like there are some crazy Thielen catches in the mix. One-handers in the end zone, mossing guys against Green Bay, diving along the sideline.
I got one.
Yeah,
just on that.
Inman.
The Minneapolis Miracle before the Diggs, they're going 2-minute warning, right? They're going down to kick the go-ahead field goal to go up 24-23. And he's just being draped by Marshawn Lattimore. It's coming out of the 2-minute
DPI
warning.
flag comes out.
19, 20-yard pass, just kind of a throw it up, and he just goes and gets it, Superman dive. But with the DPI was just an unbelievable catch. They go down, obviously, kick the field goal, go up 1, Saints score.
And that's it.
But that gets kind of lost a little bit. Diggs, obviously, like he should get a lot of the spotlight there for that game. But that was a fantastic catch in the moment, considering everything that was at stake. That was a fantastic play.
8 years ago yesterday, anniversary of that play.
Yeah.
By the way.
How about the last time the Vikings won a playoff game, which was 2019? Let that sink in. The big one. Overtime.
Yep.
Kirk
Overtime.
Cousins.
Yeah,
bombed
Yeah,
it
the
on
over the
post.
shoulder down
I
to
was
the
thinking about
4-yard line.
shoulder,
What a
beautiful.
throw! What a catch!
First and goal at the 2. That's probably the career highlight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of weight, and if we factor in all that.
setting up an opportunity for Kyle Rudolph to not get called for offensive pass interference.
Yeah, to catch a perfectly clean touchdown pass.
Yeah,
well, I'm pretty sure Dalvin had 2 opportunities at the 2 and got stuffed. So again,
I'm sorry,
running
the
back
Saints in the
efficiency.
Superdome are never going to get sympathy from me about DPI.
Absolutely not. Of course not. That was wonderful.
Great call, ref.
Good call. But also the entire 2015 season. Oof.
That was awesome. Yeah, emerging onto the scene. Reggie, what do you have for Thielen?
You're muted, Reg.
Oh, he's muted. Reggie showed up toward the end of his career. Didn't see the spectacular part.
Yeah. So when I got here 2021. Still productive, but not the Thielen that was just like burning dudes and mossing dudes and all that.
100-yard 8-game streak.
Yeah. Right. 200-yard game against Green Bay. They lost, but
don't worry about it.
Still incredible game. What was cool was kind of looking through some of those like London games and seeing how productive he had been in those. Had the one against the Browns where he did the soccer celebration after the touchdown. That was pretty cool. But I think in terms of just my own personal experience, this is probably lame. So you can boo me. Don't throw tomatoes though. But win, lose, or draw, we would always get Adam Thielen after a game. And
this is not lame. People don't understand how awesome this is. It is incredible to have this.
And his amount of candor, regardless if they won or lost, we always got at least like 2 or 3 good sound bites to run on the show from Adam Thielen after a game, because as soon he would come out and wouldn't even there'd still be eye black on and he'd still be in his full uniform and he's talking to us about a game that literally just ended minutes ago and would always give us his time, was always kind. And so that'll be what I remember the most about Adam Thielen. He was the first, when I first got to Minnesota, he was the first one-on-one interview I got for anyone. And so that was, and he was, he had just met me. He was talking to me like we had known each other for years. And so I always appreciate that about Adam Thielen. He was just a stand-up guy and in his prime, a darn good football player.
Luigi nominates him spitting out the turkey or the turducken on Thanksgiving on NBC. That was good.
What a great game.
That was good. Also, the Thielen-Belichick beef being nominated by Burrito Bill.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was good
sick.
too.
I forgot about that. That might take my number 3 spot, which was the fake punt run for 50-something yards.
Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Early,
2015
at Lambeau.
Yeah. That was a fun one.
at Lambeau for the division.
Teddy missed Jerick McKinnon, I want to say. Was that McKinnon on the wheel route?
How about one of the first highlights of his career, 2014 Panthers block a punt, take it back for a touchdown.
6 degrees.
Oh, baby. I was there for his first touchdown that year. Meaningless 2014 game, cheap ticket, TCF Bank Stadium. It was awesome.
Yeah, the climb from obscurity was fun to watch, and honestly, like a 6-year build, where every year was better than the next, peaking with the 2018 100-yard game streak, which was just awesome. Where it felt like you could have made the argument he was the best receiver in football for a good half season there, which was pretty insane. We got some business to attend to. Reggie, you can just sit. You can chirp us if you want. You can also weigh in on what you think. But we've got a running betting contest that we started last week for the playoffs. So the standings are, after betting 3 money lines last week, I'm at 478. I've got the lead because I hit the plus money 49ers. Arif went 3-0, but he's in second because he took the cowardly approach and bet the Rams.
I will continue to do so.
You'll continue to be a coward. Luke Inman made a little bit of money, 2-1. He's at 359, and Luke Braun is in last at 1-2, $150. So you get
natural order has returned.
A fresh $300 this week, $100 each to bet any time TD scorers in any of the games. You can double up in a game if you want, and we will start with Luke Braun, who's behind, and give him the first pick.
I'll take Christian McCaffrey, -130.
McCaffrey minus 130 seems safe. Luke Inman next.
Let's go safe as well. Let's go Josh Allen minus 105.
Arif Hasan.
I'm going to go James Cook minus 105.
I'm going to go JSN minus 105 from Niners Seahawks game. And I'm going to tell you my strategy now. I am going to take all three of mine from the same game.
Ooh.
Oh, so you can hit on one of them.
A better likelihood of hitting one, and obviously a chance to hit all of them. But I'm trying to minimize losses this round because I've got the lead. I'm going to go DeMarcus Robinson plus 340. Arif.
Devontae Adams minus 125.
We're cruising. Inman.
Jake Tongus with George Kittle out plus 310.
Love it. Braun, pick two.
I will go with Puka Nacua minus 115 in the Rams game. And then I'm going to take a big long shot. Drake May plus 350.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, we're having a little fun with it.
Yeah.
Inman.
Do a silly one.
Let's double down on this. George Kittle being out. Let's go crazy. Let's go Kyle Juszczyk plus 800.
Oh, baby.
Literally my next pick. And I did want to say we can't double up. We can't double up. So
I assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. Arif?
Remember when we all selected Kyle Juszczyk for the Super Bowl?
Remember?
Yeah.
I think about it every night.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I do it again.
We hit. In spirit,
we did hit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
In our hearts. I'm taking RJ Harvey minus 135. This is a bet that I kind of don't like it, but I'm taking a coward's way out by only picking so this is just what I'm gonna do.
Only minus bets. Well, mine just got sniped by the spinster, so I got to go in. I got to look at the TD. I was gonna go with a longer shot for my third. Maybe I'll.
You could always do Keon Coleman plus 500. Maybe his one catch this game is a touchdown.
Dude. Oh, he's due. Wow.
He's due.
Oh my God.
He is
Cooper
due.
Kupp plus 300. They're giving it away.
Ray Davis, the All-Pro kick returner, plus 750.
Who do you throw to when
Diggsy?
the game is on the line? You throw to Eric.
Diggsy's
Saubert.
plus 200.
Eric Saubert, the pride of Duke.
Is that right?
Is
Is that right?
a proud Blue Devil? I wasn't aware. Saubert.
Only you would know that.
No, don't quote me on that. Actually, I'm not very confident about that.
Yeah, was that the worst?
Drake.
Reggie, was that the
Drake.
worst pick
D.
that anyone made in that contest? Saubert. Am I the biggest idiot in the group?
You know what? YOLO, Sam. I'm with it. I'm with it.
Hey, weird stuff in the playoffs, man. They just try to
Exactly.
find that one-on-one
about it.
mismatch. It's just the one-on-one mismatch. By the way, Sam, you said DeMarcus Robinson plus 340. I got 320 over here on FanDuel.
Oh, they're already betting him down because it was 340 when I looked earlier.
Alexa,
I will change it.
Yep.
I will change it.
That's the Sam Ekstrom effect. Everybody's listening. They tailed.
Moving lines, dude.
Yeah.
They heard about the parlay he hit 3 weeks ago.
Not the
Owner of
first time.
MGM's listening to the live stream right now.
Someone at the noodle bar at the wasn't that attached a sportsbook casino?
Yeah. Sitting at the casino noodle bar.
Yeah,
Listen to the Viking Squad show.
They're locked
as
in.
you do. They're an everydayer.
Yep.
Thanks to special guest Reggie Wilson, the Lukes, Arif. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Squad show back Monday. More off-season chatter. Maybe some Brian Flores resolution. We'll talk about the Eric Saubert touchdown then on the Squad show. Thanks so much.